Welcome back to Acuity plus Acumen, the podcast that illuminates leadership and inspires change. I am Deanna Armstrong, an executive coach helping leaders in the life sciences and biotech sectors drive impact. This podcast is proudly sponsored by Armstrong Walker Coaching and Consulting, where we empower leaders to reach their full potential. In part one of this series, we heard from Gabby Everett of BioLabs Pegasus Park and Kelly Cloud of the Dallas Regional Chamber about the incredible growth of the biotech ecosystem in North Texas. Today, we are continuing our conversation in part two, where Gabby and Kelly will unpack the future of biotech in the region. Remember to subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Let's dive in. What is ARPA-H for our folks that may not be familiar with this?
Yeah, so ARPA-H, the Biden administration had a $2.5 billion fund for moonshot healthcare initiatives. So think something that could happen maybe 50 years down the road. Let's bring it to the center, to the forefront, similar to DARPA initiative. Let's get our private stakeholders, let's get our university systems, let's get our public players together, and let's work alongside them and really move these great potential opportunities forward to now. And let's do it for everyone. So that's a huge challenge. And it makes sense for it to be in the center of the United States with one of the most diverse ecosystems in the United States. So all can truly mean all, but also have an understanding of we need to engage nationally as a whole. And where better to do that than centrally? But for the ARPA-H itself, that's funding different opportunities to find cures, find quality of life. The customer experience hub there's 3 different hubs. There's an administrative and policy hub, which is of course in Washington, D.C. That makes sense. They can kind of help cut down that red tape when they come across an innovation and really how can we get it to the next level? And if there's some red tape there that does not make sense, really proactively move forward there. They have the Investor Catalyst Hub, which by bid landed in the Cambridge-Boston area. So that really helps you have this great idea, let's make sure we can commercialize it. Can it survive on past this ecosystem? And then we have the Customer Experience Hub, which we won by bid as a Texas bid, but it landed at Pegasus Park in Dallas. So we are very lucky to have that there. This is our Customer Experience Hub, and it's very important because it touches our customers, our communities, and it really has the community and the customer in mind when it's coming to these solutions. Think a rural area. If you're getting med device or access to a med device, it needs to be moved and through rugged terrain in a package that's tossed around. How can we make sure that that device can service everyone across the country, not just someone in a metropolitan area? That's one thing. Clinical trial readiness was one of the first requests that went out and our call to action through the Customer Experience Hub to their spoke network. And that was to have 9 out of 10 Americans have access to a clinical trial within 30 minutes of their home. So what are the challenges to that? And there are different challenges to that depending on the stakeholder. If you know Einstein's theory, 99% of the problems, 1% is pretty easy to come up with a solution or solutions in this case. And that's kind of the mentality of the solutions they're trying to solve. Gabby, is there anything I'm missing there?
Well, there's a huge, right? But remember, with the clinical studies in particular, the fact that we have such a diverse patient population.
Exactly.
And we have all of the universities makes Dallas an ideal spot to meet a lot of the requirements that the FDA has in clinical trials, especially when it comes to diversity in clinical trials, for one, but also, like you said, that access, because not only do you get the urban, you get the suburban, and you get the rural here in the Metroplex, which is huge. And I don't think me coming from like the Boston area, I didn't realize how much of a player we were when it came to clinical trials. And I can't remember the professor that does a lot of that research at UT Southwestern was just saying that like Dallas is in the top 5 or something like that, like in the top 5 of places to actually have a productive and fruitful clinical studies program. So I think that's critical.
Yeah, and one of the exciting things that Kelly mentioned with this whole idea of clinical trial readiness is how can we stand up a clinical trial within, what is it, like 60 or 90 days, so that a family in rural America doesn't have to stop their entire lives and travel to the Cleveland Clinic or Mayo or even UT Southwestern to participate in a clinical trial. So how can we decentralize that and bring the clinical trials to the patient to decrease the challenge of clinical trial enrollment? Because the way clinical trials work, going from phase 1, which is typically your safety study, into phase 2, which is efficacy, does the drug actually work on a small population of patients, to phase 3, where you're looking at thousands of patients. Well, if you're talking about a rare disease that maybe affects 25, 30,000 people globally, how do you find those people?
Exactly.
How do you enroll? So that's making that timeline of getting a drug from research to reality that much longer because of that challenge. So if we're able to overcome that challenge with some of these new innovations and, cell and gene therapy and all of the really cool stuff, the new technologies coming out, then we'll be better equipped to be able to make sure those technologies get to the people who need them the most.
Right, and I think you said a key word, innovation, because a part of that customer experience with ARPA-H is that innovation piece. So what are you seeing here in North Texas that we're doing differently or poised to do differently to continue with taking advantage of like your generative artificial intelligence and the machine learning and also streamlining a lot of processes throughout the whole ecosystem?
Yeah, I think the number one word that I would say would be convergence.
Yeah,
We've
convergence.
got there's again a lot of innovation across multiple sectors. We're innovating in logistics and supply chain. Of course, we're innovating in healthcare. We're innovating in the semiconductor space. We're innovating in AI and ML. So if we can collaborate, so I mean, that's another one of these key words. If we're able to collaborate and bring all these players together, instead of everyone trying to reinvent their own wheel, we can find those synergies. So we can get a company at BioLabs that's starting clinical trials in breast cancer to couple with, a bioinformatics center at SMU, for example, also housed on Pegasus Park, to see what learnings they can find together. I like to use the idea of emergent properties, meaning that, you have strengths here and you have strengths here, you bring them together, and the strengths that emerge from that collaboration are a lot more than if those companies, worked separately. And by collaborating, we can make sure we're not missing opportunities to find those
Absolutely.
synergies as well.
Right, those you don't see those blind spots that you may see, your counterpart may be able to help address those and bring them to fruition, to your attention. Go ahead.
And we have the second most diverse industry makeup in the country. So we have 82% of the GDP of the United States here in the DFW region. So, I mean, if you look at Texas itself, eighth largest GDP or economy in the globally, if we were a country.
That's amazing.
The Texas Triangle, that's 12th.
What is the Texas Triangle for people who aren't
So
from
that
Texas?
is Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston, Austin, San Antonio. So the economic output of that Texas Triangle would be 12th if it was a country. So within Texas. So Texas itself would be 8th. So it's absolutely amazing. But having that industry diversity of 82% of the GDP of the United States, there's a lot of opportunity to plug in and find answers and solve different problems and
Yes.
different questions. And it's really, truly exciting. And having that additional layer of collaboration that makes it possible. I mean, people say, well, what are you going to specialize in? I'm like, convergence, really. It's convergence.
What do we specialize in? Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and also, like Kelly mentioned, that the Texas economy is the 8th largest economy globally, and we're just a little state. Well, big state, like you said, everything's bigger in Texas, right?
Yes.
Including our economy. We're bringing the Texas Stock Exchange to Dallas. So the financial sector is going to see an even more rapid boom in this region as well.
And you mentioned a few key wins. So the Texoma Semiconductor Hub, EDA Hub designation. Another one that we've had this year is the NSF, so that has a designated hub now for Texoma logistics.
So
supply
National
chain.
Science Foundation?
Yes, yes. So we are designated in that hub as well. The EDA Good Jobs Grant. 2 years ago now, we received $8.8 million from Dallas College being the lead on that, with Collin College and Tarrant County College with a Step Up 4-year degree program for UTA, which is wonderful for our bioengineering technician program. And now it also has BIANT, Bioscience and Healthcare Industry Alliance of North Texas, for industry to plug into and inform that curricula to where we can really be a driving force. So there's a place for industry to plug in now to not only source talent, but inform what they need from talent. And that's even being fed up into a state level as well, to where we can collaborate and build upon that ecosystem, because we've all lived in more than one city in Texas, or we have anyway. I know a lot of people have. It benefits us to look at that from a state level.
Yeah, and in thinking about the talent network, that's going to be one of the key pieces, right? If we're going to attract these major players in industry, they're not necessarily looking for the infrastructure. Walls can be built, slabs can be poured, but filling it with the talent to be able to move that company forward, that's a whole different ballgame. So all of these key players that Kelly mentioned are all producing an incredible tech workforce. We've got one of the largest tech workforces in the country already. If you think about it. So yeah.
Right, and you also have a highly educated employee base, right? And the thing I liked about the Dallas College is, like, you don't have to have that Ph.D. to get into the industry, right? Let's start you off with an introduction in 4 weeks for free. That's amazing.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And then you also have like that bench scientist at a UT Southwestern, at a UNT Health Science Center, and now at Texas Christian University. So you have the whole gamut, right?
Exactly. Right, and exactly, like it's stratified, right? Like you have to have the people who are running the fermenters to create these game-changing antibodies that are gonna help reprogram your immune system on how to fight cancer, immuno-oncology. You don't need you don't need a PhD to run those fermenters. Like you said, you need the credentials, you need the skills, you need the certifications. So taking students out of high school or out of junior college and plugging them into these bio manufacturing positions, it's not blue collar manufacturing, it's white lab coat manufacturing. So it's really game changing, life changing, chain breaking opportunities for these students. So we're excited to be a part of it.
You mentioned walls. There are people that need to commission those walls, clean those, if it's a clean room, clean those clean room walls, build those walls. So, and all of those take a different level of expertise for these life science facilities. They're very nuanced, very clean spaces. So built for purpose, built for process. So very, very different level of engagement on that side of the workforce as well. So more than one way is it impacting our workforce in a positive light.
Right, like you mentioned, the architects that need to design it, and everyone that's got to certify the biosafety cabinets and everything else. It's taking that Texas economy and carving out a little bit for a bioeconomy.
Yes, exciting. I think we had Ben McGill on, who's the VP of Vice Chancellor of Economic Development, and that's what he said, like what you were alluding to, what you were talking about. We have so many industries here that we get to have a choice, and that's a great thing. There's some people that just live and die off of one industry.
Yes.
And then that not only do we have those industries, but we also have those transferable skills that you all were talking about. So again, a great time to be in North Texas. I think I'm a big cheerleader trying to get my whole family to move here because I think there are so many great things happening in the great state of Texas. Is there anything else that you all want to make sure that our audience knows about the work that you are doing, the very important work that you are doing, not only for Texas, but for patients all over the world?
If I had to say anything, it would just be the growth and the upward trajectory. The conversations that we're having, the new companies we're bringing into the region, the talent we're attracting to the region, not to mention, again, that game-changing innovation research happening in our research institutions. There's something in publishing world called the impact factor, and it's a number assigned to your research article based on the journal that you publish in. The universities that we have here in this region are in like top 5 globally in impact factor on the research they publish. And when that gets converted into those commercialization resources, there's no stopping us.
Fantastic.
For me, I would say if you're not here, come and visit. Obviously, there's some things that you cannot put into words. I think we get so excited and that we push so hard because we feel the excitement and the passion of our ecosystem. We have a great support system, and you can't really experience that shared passion unless you come and visit and you see it. So I would absolutely say come visit. Come on down, y'all. You know,
Yeah, no, I mean, it's true. There really is
Yes,
that tangible
Yeah.
energy
Yes.
of people who didn't get it, and then they come and visit, and we run them around North Texas to our different resources. And at the end of the visit, they are on the cheerleading squad with
You
us.
see the change. You visually see the change.
Yeah.
So that absolutely, and talk about it within the region too. A lot of people are wonderful hidden talent. They don't realize what's here even. We are building that connectivity. Go to lifesciencedfw.com if you need to know where there's an incubator or an accelerator. Or do we have VCs? Yes, we do. Not as many as we'd like. Another, come on down, y'all. So really,
Right. The Texas,
yeah.
because the Texas Stock Exchange is
Yes,
coming.
come
on.
Yeah.
And a fintech nugget. So Texas is now the second largest financial hub outside of New York.
Yep.
So another reason
absolutely.
investors to come on our way.
Yes, and I always say, like, to VCs, if you want access to your full portfolio, why wouldn't you have an office here in DFW, the second largest fintech capital of the world? So there's a lot more happening. There's a reason to don't just fly through. I know you've connected a flight here.
You hear
Sit
that
down,
a lot.
stay a while. Yeah. I've been to your airport. Yeah, well, there are things out. Although the airport is larger than the island of Manhattan, you could spend plenty of time there. You can also go outside the walls of the airport and come and join us and see what's happening.
Yeah, and because of that diversity, there's definitely something for everybody.
Yes.
So if cancer isn't your thing, we have companies that are, neurology companies that are creating neuroprotective antibodies, GenRab, for diseases like Parkinson's disease and other neurological disorders. We've got wearable medical devices. We're doing stem cell therapy. Of course, we're doing cell and gene therapy. We're doing surgical devices, implantable medical devices, lots in the synthetic biology space, in stem cell innovation, mRNA innovation, vaccine development, like you name it, we've got it here in this region. Like you said, we're not the one-trick pony. So it's exciting that an investor can fly into DFW and say, this is my thesis, this is my wheelhouse. I'm looking for really cool, groundbreaking technology in this sector, and we can schedule a series of meetings back to back amongst our universities at Pegasus Park, which is a 15-minute drive away from the airport, and we can
Either one.
change your mind. Yeah, either airport. I know, right? There's right airport.
That's true.
Yeah.
Even and so it just made me think of something that I totally forgot. But when we think about the future, and you look at where we are in 2024, and what in 2034, and you're reflecting, what will success look like to you, and what will you like for your legacy to be?
Success to me, especially in this industry, means that you don't fear failure anymore. If you are a CEO and you have to make a pivot decision, that's okay, because a serial entrepreneur is going to do what a serial entrepreneur does. They're going to find that next new cool piece of technology. They're going to grab a hold of the investors that trusted him or her previously and put those pieces together and forge something new. If you're a researcher and you're a lab rat, you want to be doing game-changing science, come to North Texas, and if one company doesn't work out, you can roll right into the next company after that. So I think that for me, success means taking away that fear of failure so that people just move forward with what they want to do.
And for me, I would say in a few years' time, that connective tissue exists. So it's being built currently, both on our regional level, also on the state level. But really, there's ways and plays to plug in. And there's also a lot of resources. But even those who live and reside here don't recognize what resources exist. We haven't necessarily been tracking all of the jobs. Med device is hidden in manufacturing. So even knowing which companies exist in our region, I find a new company every single week. I'm not kidding. Like every week there's a new company. And I'm not talking about little companies, established larger companies. So having that connective tissue established to where if they're in our region, they know where to go to plug in. They know BioNorth Texas. They know lifesciencedfw.com. They know BioLabs exists. They know about our supply chain and logistics. So our assets are known and they know where to plug in if they so choose. That I would say would be successful in 3 to 4 years to really, we just have to shift outward to really change the narrative of what's existing versus what's perceived. I mean, yes, I do have a cowboy hat and a cowboy boots, but I don't wear them on the daily basis. You know?
I can't believe it. I can't believe it. So, is there like a networking event or anything where people gather?
Which day and which
Right.
one would you like to go to? So I think really BioNorth Texas does a great job at aggregating a lot of the activities happening in Dallas-Fort Worth and North Texas on their website.
Their newsletter.
Oh yeah, their
They've got a
newsletter
great
too.
newsletter.
You can sign up for their newsletter, biontx.org, and they also have a newsletter sign up. But on their events tab, really they do a really great job at aggregating a lot of the events happening in the region. And if you're having a life science event in the region, reach out to them. They may be willing to share it depending on what that event is. So I would say that's probably a great landing spot.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. And then the other second part of that question is, what is your legacy?
Oh man, I would love to see. We talked previously about women in STEM. I would love to walk into a room full of biotech CEOs and not be one of the only women in the room anymore. So I think the more that we can, Lady Hill Philanthropies has a really great initiative. If she can see it, then she can be it. So the more powerhouse women in our region that we can put on display to help, I know, right? To help network and connect and really be these role models for girls and women as they're moving through their education. I would love that.
Thank you.
And for me, I'm going to take the regional play here. I want to ensure that we don't lose that collaborative spirit. And really, if anything, it would be fostering collaboration because I have so many wonderful regional partners. It's really challenging to be this size, to have so many great things when people could silo themselves, but really for there to be an opportunity for us to be the region, the life science hub that has helped to break down those barriers, to break down those silos and truly collaborate with the healthcare, truly collaborate with the end user, universities with each other. So collaboration, I know, that's a wonderful utopia where everyone, but we're pretty darn close. And I'd say fostering that and having that vision throughout, I think.
Yeah, and it's really cliche to say, but the rising tide really does float all the boats, and there are so many boats in this region.
Yes.
And there's a lot of us, dumping the water in.
Yes.
So we're working on raising that tide across the region, across the state.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Anything else before we close?
Just thank you. Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks for
thanks, Deanna.
letting us take the time.
Thank you. Thank you all so much for joining us today. I really appreciate you sharing your invaluable insights and experience today. It is clear that the life sciences sector in North Texas is not only thriving, but it's also fueled by visionary leaders committed to driving innovation and collaboration. To our listeners, we hope you found inspiration in today's discussion. Remember, As we illuminate leadership and inspire change, it's the collective efforts of leaders like Kelly and Gabby that will shape the future of our life sciences and biotech landscape. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to our YouTube channel at Armstrong Walker Coaching Consult and leave a glowing review. And don't forget to share this conversation with anyone passionate about life sciences or leadership in a rapidly changing environment. Until next time, keep striving for excellence and embracing the journey of leadership. Again, thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for part 2 of this exciting conversation with Kelly Cloud and Gabby Everett. From ARPA-H to the future of clinical trials, we have uncovered key insights into the blooming biotech ecosystem here in North Texas. If you missed part 1, don't forget to check it out to catch the full story of the region's innovative biotech landscape. We will be taking a short break for the Thanksgiving holiday, but mark your calendars. Our next episode drops on Wednesday, December 4th. Remember to subscribe to Acuity plus Acumen on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify to stay updated on future episodes. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Acuity plus Acumen, where leadership meets innovation. Wishing you a joyful and restful holiday season.